going to say this very quietly. I don't like Wedgwood jasperware. Hello there, I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Star, the online flower arranging classes. A couple of weeks ago, I went to the world of Wedgwood at Stoke-on-Trent, and I thought you might like to come along and spend the day with me. If you're a fan of Wedgwood or just got a passing interest in the pottery industry, I would highly recommend a visit. We booked a tour which cost us £12.50 each. There's an amazing museum which is free to enter. There's a beautiful gift shop which we didn't really have time to look around, and then you've got the gorgeous Wedgwood and Waterford showrooms. There's also a tea rooms as well, but we didn't stop there either, although it has been recommended to me by loads of friends. So why don't I like jasperware? I think it's the colour, and for me the little applied relief just looks so old-fashioned. I do have some other Wedgwood pieces though, and beautiful classic shaped vases. And how about that for a vase? I find this a really usable container. I bought it for £4 at the charity shop. It's got the tiniest of scuffs on the edge of this shell-shaped handle here. And with it still being winter time, I've got arranged in it some garden trimmings that were on their way to the compost heap, and they've been sitting there for a couple of weeks. I've got some tulips in the other room which are starting to go a little bit wayward. You know how they grow towards the light, and I may well put them in with my greenery here and just change things up a bit. I've also got a similarly shaped urn here in black. This was gifted to me by a friend when she was clearing out the home of one of her elderly relatives. And to be honest, I've never actually used the vase. It's got a rather unsightly repair on the back. But if I ever was to use it, I think the first thing I would do is to put water in it to begin with and just see how well that mend is holding up. I've got this displayed on my shelf, and what I do is I just turn it round so the crack is at the back. And rather interestingly inside, it's got this metal flower frog. I don't know whether that's original to the container or it just happens to be a lucky fit. And when I turn over the vase, it's got the distinctive Wedgwood mark. I can just pick it up here with Wedgwood across the middle, and then it says Etruria at the top and then Barlaston at the bottom. And I've also got a miniature version of the classic urn design, which I've planted up with some tete-a-tete daffodils. And if you'd like to see me doing this project, and includes all these other vases here as well, I'll leave a link to that in the show notes underneath the video. And I filmed it on one of my YouTube lives on a Tuesday morning. And I'll also leave a video to the hand-tied bouquet, the green arrangement in the urn vase too. That was another YouTube live video. And I've also got this dainty little windowsill vase with a classic ribbed edging, and again some old-fashioned chicken wire in it, which I have just taped in with some clear plastic tape, all ready for my next mini arrangement. And this one at the bottom says Wedgwood, Barlaston, England, with a W and then the initials of the maker. So although I have got lots of classic flower arranging vases, it might sound strange that I don't like jasperware, and I would say I'm not the only one. Practically every charity shop I go to has always got either little saucers like this or trinket boxes which are only selling for a couple of pounds. And when I went up to the charity shops at Stoke-on-Trent, I would say exactly the same thing too. There were lots and lots of jasperware that nobody wants. It may be that you're a jasperware fan, and perhaps you should be heading out to the charity shops that I visit. Anyway, let's jump into the car and head out to Stoke-on-Trent, which is about 250 miles away from me here in the southeast of England. Welcome to the world of Wedgwood. This factory was built in 1940 and has been recently modernised to include a museum and factory outlet store. In the reception area there is this huge mosaic of Josiah Wedgwood made out of individually coloured plates. Turn off to the right and you can walk into the Wedgwood and Waterford crystal showrooms. Now at this point I should probably say I am not an expert in Wedgwood or in Waterford crystal, but I do know that this is the Lismore pattern of Waterford crystal, the #1 bestseller. And I know that because I'm a huge fan of Lady Mary Beth, and she's an expert in Waterford and Wedgwood, so I'll leave a link to her channel in the show notes underneath the video. I had in mind I'd like to buy myself a souvenir of the trip, and I was looking at those Christmas baubles of £115 each. The beautiful Wedgwood teacup and saucer, and again, if you know more about Wedgwood, you'll probably be familiar with this pattern. Josiah Wedgwood was born in 1730, the third child of Thomas Wedgwood, who owned the churchyard works in Burslem. When his father died, his oldest brother, Thomas, inherited the factory, and at 9 years old, Josiah Wedgwood went to work for him. Now here's that jasperware. I must admit I'm slightly more taken with the modern floral design here, and I was thinking to myself, perhaps if I found a beautiful modern piece of jasperware, I might think about taking that home, particularly as they had some smaller items and beautiful Christmas decorations. Also jasperware in pink and the yellow, as well as the traditional green and the light blue and the dark blue. And the rabbit there wasn't for Easter, it was for Chinese New Year. At 14 years old, Josiah became an official apprentice to his brother and stayed for 5 years learning his craft. We booked a guided tour of the factory, and fortunately I wasn't allowed to film there. What struck me was the bright pink, beetroot pink glazes that we used on the chinaware pieces, and apparently it's so brightly coloured so that the factory workers can find out whether they've missed a spot or not. We watched cups being turned out of their moulds and handles being applied. We saw master artists hand painting some pieces, and on those special pieces the maker's initials are hidden on them in the design. After the factory tour, we had a very quick look around the Victorian Albert collection. This really does deserve far more time than we paid to it. And again, if you've got more of an interest in Wedgwood or the ceramics industry, I can imagine you could spend hours and hours here. The first part of the museum was the educational part, and then as you went through to the end of the museum, there were cabinets and cabinets of Wedgwood ware over the years. I've been collecting transferware, not necessarily from Wedgwood, but I was particularly interested to see this printing process and how the designs are carved out onto copper reels and then onto tissue paper, and you could see this being applied in the factory. And they had a couple of display plates showing one half with the finished transfer on it and the other half still with the yellow coating, which would need to be fired and then washed away. And here we were allowed to touch the engravings. It's great that you can do that in modern museums. It feels a bit more interactive, a bit more interesting. Take a look at this black jasperware. This is actually the Portland vase and was a copy of the 1st century glass vase, which was acquired in 1784 by Sir William Hamilton and then went on to be sold to the Duchess of Portland. She died in 1786 and it was lent to Wedgwood to copy. The Portland vase is made of stoneware and doesn't have any glaze, but it's still waterproof, and the little sprigs are made in plaster of Paris moulds. And when these have been used about 20 times, the definition goes and they're ground down and used, recycled for road repairs. While some items at the factory are still hand thrown, most are made using moulds. There's a liquid clay or a slip which is put into the moulds and either left to set solid if it's going to be a solid item, or swirled around and emptied out when you're making something hollow, like a teapot for instance. Here's an exhibition of the jasperware sprigs which we were allowed to touch. And Wedgwood also developed a lathe in order that he could carve out the ridges, distinctive patterns on some of his pieces. These figures, which were applied onto the ceramics to make that classic Jasperware look, were pressed into moulds by knockers and then wiggled out by the wagglers of the team. Here's an example of the piece which would have been made on the lathe, cutting away the layers of pottery to reveal the pattern. Such an interesting process which made sense at the time of the tour, but I'm not entirely sure that I'm relaying it accurately. And if you're an expert, let me know in the comments what the exact process is. Beautiful cameos made in that same process of pressing the clay into the mould and then waggling it out, and then using slip, effectively gluing it onto the stoneware, classic blue of the Jasperware. And here's the first edition version of the Portland vase up close with the black Jasperware and the white relief pattern. Very elegant, very stylish. But I wonder what it was originally used for. Flowers? Oils? Who knows? And these are the plaster of Paris moulds that the Portland vase was made from. Let's carry on walking through the galleries together. You can see here this is a paint box, so in Jasperware with a little artist's palette and then the individual cups to hold watercolours. And talking about cups, these are custard cups, which is something I'm not familiar with. A set of 4 with lids on a tray. Now I spy some flower arranging vessels. So here we have some ceramic pieces with the flower frog in the middle. Rather interestingly, it's got different sized holes for the different sized plant material, which I must say looks very handy. And as we continue to walk through the galleries, we leave behind the historic pieces of Wedgwood. Just look at this fantastic vase. I think it was about 1.5 meters tall. And then we move on to more modern pieces of Wedgwood. And perhaps you might start to recognise some of these shapes and even be lucky enough to spot something like them in the charity shops. I was particularly taken by this green range of crockery designed by the architect Keith Murray. I love the colour and just the decorative, subtle ridges around the edge of the plates. And from plates to vases, and this spectacular, almost spherical vase. I'd love to have that in my collection. And so we leave the world of Wedgwood, and if you want to know what's in my blue bag, watch on to the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed spending the day with me at the world of Wedgwood. And yes, I did buy something. It wasn't a piece of Wedgwood though. I bought a beautiful Waterford crystal Christmas bauble. Do you want to have a look? So I ended up buying a cut crystal bauble. A 2020 Waterford crystal Christmas bauble. Doesn't that look fantastic? It's got a nice weight to it. It's going to look so special on my Christmas tree. And there it is, marked Waterford. Well, that's all from me for now, and I'll see you again next time. And if you are a Jasperware fan, I hope I haven't offended you too much. Let me know in the comments about your Wedgwood collection.